Imagine spending like 5 years and thousands of dollars learning how to build a house.
Right.
You read all the blueprints, you watch, hundreds of hours of videos on modern carpentry, you buy the finest imported tool belt, but you never actually pick up a single hammer to drive a single nail.
Yeah, you just hoard the tools.
Exactly. And that is the exact psychological trap that millions of digital creators and, well, ambitious learners are stuck in right now. It's an epidemic we call tutorial hell.
It really is. I mean, the irony of the information age is that our massive access to knowledge has somehow completely paralyzed our ability to act on it. We substitute the feeling of learning for the actual friction of doing.
Yeah, that feeling of digital exhaustion just spinning your wheels is exactly what we are unpacking in today's deep dive. We are exploring the launch of a brand new digital ecosystem called Camaraderie.
Which is a fascinating project.
It really is. You can find it hosted over at camaraderie.ourreflections.net. And the bold promise of this platform is to serve as the ultimate, decisive antidote to all this information overload and procrastination.
It's a big promise.
Huge. And to understand how it plans to do this, we've got a fantastic stack of sources to guide us today.
Oh, yeah. The sources on this one are great.
Right. We're looking at a deeply passionate LinkedIn article published on March 22, 2026 by the platform's creator, Mihigo E.R. Anaja. We're also breaking down a YouTube transcript from the channel Trigger Pull, which actually documents the platform's rapid creation.
Which is wild, by the way.
Totally wild. And lastly, we're looking directly at the official website copy from the Camaraderie dashboard itself.
It is a truly compelling stack because, we get to examine not just what this platform is on a functional level, like the buttons and features, but the underlying philosophy of modern productivity it represents.
Exactly.
The creator isn't just releasing another piece of software here. They're making a rather sharp structural critique of how we currently consume information on the internet.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we even look at the shiny tools inside the platform itself, we really need to understand the specific frustration that birthed it.
Right, the origin story.
Yeah. Looking at Mihigo's backlog of LinkedIn articles leading up to this launch, there is a very clear mounting theme. In January 2026, we see articles titled, "If you actually want to learn programming, stop jumping around."
A very direct call-out.
Very. And another one titled, "You don't need more tutorials, you need a system." And going back slightly further to December 2025, there's a post titled, "Stop scrolling. Start building something that actually matters."
You can trace this public documentation of someone diagnosing a systemic problem. It's a real-time realization that the internet has stopped being a tool for creation and has largely become this treadmill of endless preparation.
Yeah, there is one specific quote from an article dated January 22, 2026 that really hit me. The title itself declares, "Attention is cheap, direction is rare."
Oh, that's a great line.
It is, right? Inside that piece, the creator writes about how the internet is currently overflowing with noise, endless scrolling, recycled content, and half-baked advice.
Which I think anyone listening to this can relate to.
Oh, for sure. So, going back to our earlier thought, let me run an analogy by you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is this tutorial hell basically like having, say, 5 different expensive gym memberships, buying all the latest high-end activewear, constantly watching videos of other people working out, but never actually lifting a single weight yourself?
What's fascinating here is that your analogy highlights the exact psychological trap the creator is talking about, particularly the neuroscience behind it.
Wait, neuroscience, like actual brain chemistry?
Yeah, exactly. When you buy that premium activewear, or in the digital world, when you bookmark a 4-hour coding tutorial or buy a masterclass, your brain actually releases a massive hit of dopamine.
Just from bookmarking a video.
Just from bookmarking it. You feel a genuine sense of accomplishment just from the act of preparing to learn. Your brain tricks you into thinking you've made progress.
Wow.
But passive consumption is entirely different from the friction of active execution. Mihigo's premise is that the core issue we face today isn't a lack of information. I mean, the information is everywhere.
Right, we're drowning in it.
Exactly. The critical missing ingredient is the lack of a unifying system and the focused direction required to actually apply that information to a blank page.
I get that. But I have to push back on the solution here just a bit.
Sure.
If the fundamental diagnosis is that we are drowning in too many resources, too many websites, too many platforms, isn't creating yet another platform just adding to the noise? Aren't we just building a 6th gym in a town where no one actually works out?
That tension is the central paradox of the entire project.
Yeah.
How do you cure information overload with more information?
Right. It feels counterintuitive.
It does. But the answer, according to the creator's philosophy, lies entirely in the architecture of the solution. It's about shifting a user from an open-ended web of endless distractions to a closed-loop system of execution.
A closed loop system, like bowling with the bumper lanes up?
That is a perfect way to visualize it by putting the coding tools, the marketing strategy, the business advice, and the community all on one single unified dashboard. Camaraderie acts as bumpers for your attention.
Okay, I see.
Every time your brain gets fatigued and tries to gutterball into a YouTube distraction or a social media doom scroll, the interface is designed to bounce you back into execution mode. The friction to start working has to become lower than the friction to keep scrolling.
Understanding that philosophy completely changes how you view the execution of this project. Because the creator didn't just write articles philosophizing about the need for speed and focus. They actually lived it.
Yes, they absolutely did.
And the way they executed this launch is wild. I mean, imagine for a second what it usually takes to build a comprehensive digital platform.
Usually months, right?
Months. You would normally block out months of planning. You'd have teams doing beta testing. You'd sit through endless roadmap meetings. But according to the YouTube transcript from the channel Trigger Poll, the creator states, quite plainly, "Today I challenged myself to build this website. Today. One single day."
Oh, the contrast between the slow paralysis of tutorial hell and a 24-hour sprint is staggering.
It's a day and night.
Right. After months of writing about the desperate need to stop scrolling and start building, they sit down and build the entire infrastructure in a single rotation of the Earth.
And the LinkedIn post reinforces this aggressive timeline, but it adds a layer of attitude to it that I just love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mihigo writes that the platform was built, quote, quietly, decisively, without noise, just focus and execution. The stated goal is to reduce friction, increase action, and help serious people keep winning.
That's a strong statement.
It is. But again, I have to play devil's advocate for you, the listener here. Building a comprehensive platform in one day is an incredible flex. It's a great narrative. But does that kind of speed inevitably sacrifice quality?
It's a valid concern.
Like, are we looking at a leaky rowboat cobbled together with duct tape, or are we looking at a streamlined speedboat?
This raises an important question about how we fundamentally define quality in the modern digital landscape. We have this tendency to conflate quality with absolute perfection.
Right.
But in the world of software development and online startups, there is a guiding concept known as the minimum viable product, or MVP.
Which is basically getting the core features out as fast as possible, right?
Exactly. The reality is that perfectionism is very often just a socially acceptable mask for procrastination.
Oh, wow, yeah.
If you spend 6 months polishing a platform in secret, trying to make the code flawless and the design impeccable, you aren't getting user feedback. You aren't testing it against the harsh reality of the market.
You're just in a vacuum.
Yes, you are, ironically, trapped in that exact cycle of isolated noise that the creator has been critiquing this whole time.
So the speed is actually a feature, not a bug. The messiness is the point.
Bypassing the paralysis of analysis requires momentum above all else. By launching decisively, the creator forced the platform into existence. And what is absolutely crucial to note here is that in that same YouTube video, the creator actively invites the audience to find flaws.
Really? They ask for it?
Yes, they ask users to share ideas, to give raw feedback, and explicitly state, "You may try to challenge me."
I love that.
That vulnerability is the hallmark of a robust MVP mindset. You build the foundation quickly, but you build it structurally sound enough to handle the weight of community critique. You don't build it perfectly, you build it to evolve.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because when you actually open the doors and look inside the Camaraderie dashboard, you realize just how incredibly ambitious this one-day build actually was.
It's fact.
It is. We are not just looking at a simple message board or a static blog. The stated target audience includes programmers, developers, creators, entrepreneurs, and ambitious learners.
That is a massive, highly demanding demographic.
A huge demographic. Casting a net that wide usually suggests a very watered-down generic platform. A tool that tries to be everything to everyone often ends up being useful to no one.
True.
But when we examine the specific tools they offer, a very different narrative emerges. Let's actually walk through what is sitting inside this ecosystem.
Let's do it.
They are offering services ranging from high-end tech and business training to custom web and mobile solutions, all the way over to luxury brand strategy and marketing, and even a startup launch pad and advisory.
It's quite the spectrum.
Right. And then inside the user dashboard itself, you have access to online courses, downloadable ebooks, and tools for content monetization. But then you encounter these very specific, incredibly uniquely named proprietary
Oh,
tools.
the names are great.
For instance, there is a smart coding assistant named Little Shark.
Little Shark.
And sitting right next to it is an inventory management tool called Inventory Hubris. Oh, and access to something called Retarsh software as well.
Okay, naming an inventory tool, Inventory Hubris, is brilliant.
It's so funny.
It implies a deep self-awareness about the nightmare of managing physical goods. Anyone who has tried to track hundreds of t-shirts in a garage knows that hubris is exactly what gets you into that mess in the first place.
Right. But the juxtaposition of all these features in one place is wild to me. It is literally like walking into your local gritty hardware store to buy a hammer and some nails and finding a high-end luxury fashion boutique sitting right there in aisle 4.
That's quite the image.
You have a smart coding assistant, Little Shark, sitting shoulder to shoulder with luxury brand strategy. Can a platform successfully cater to hardcore, back-end developers and luxury brand marketers at the exact same time? It feels almost contradictory on paper.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of where digital work is definitively heading in 2026, it actually makes perfect logical sense.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. We're looking at the reality of the modern hybrid professional, what some economists call the polymath entrepreneur.
Polymath meaning someone who does a bit of everything.
Exactly. 10 years ago, the internet allowed you to be highly specialized. You were just a back-end coder, or you were just a front-end marketer. Today, if you're an independent creator or a solo startup founder, you do not have the luxury of operating in those clean silos.
Because if you build an app, nobody is coming to market it for you. You have to wear all the hats.
And that siloed thinking is exactly what kills early-stage startups. Let's look at the workflow Camaraderie is proposing. You use a tool like Little Shark to write the code for a new mobile app.
Okay.
You get the app working in an afternoon. In the old system, your momentum would immediately die because now you have to figure out how to sell it.
Right, you'd be stuck.
But in this closed-loop ecosystem, you immediately pivot to the content monetization tools or the luxury brand strategy resources to figure out how to position your app in the market.
Wow, okay.
And let's say your app sells a physical product. Suddenly you need to track shipping and stock levels. Boom, you slide right over to Inventory Hubris.
So they aren't just throwing random software tools at a wall to see what sticks. They are mirroring the actual chaotic, cross-disciplinary life cycle of building a modern business from scratch.
The creator is mapping the platform to the real-world friction points of a founder. It's a Swiss Army knife, designed specifically to keep you from ever having to leave the platform to solve your next problem.
Because the moment you leave to go search for an inventory solution on Google,
You are back in the maze. You are back to watching YouTube reviews of inventory software, and you are right back in tutorial hell.
that makes a ton of sense. If you are trying to permanently break people out of that trap, you can't just teach them one isolated skill in a vacuum. You have to give them the continuous tools to connect the dots between the code, the product design, the marketing, and the actual revenue generation.
But having a dashboard full of powerful tools creates an entirely new problem isolation.
Oh, sure.
A Swiss Army knife is incredibly useful, but it doesn't keep you accountable when you're exhausted at 2 a.m. and want to quit. Software, no matter how clever, is fundamentally passive.
Which brings us to the crucial human element of this deep dive, because the software, the coding assistants, the inventory trackers, they're really only half of the equation here.
The other half is the people.
Exactly. The Camaraderie website heavily promotes what they call a global community of visionaries and industry leaders. They promise that users will actively engage with like-minded individuals from all around the world, gaining access to direct mentorship, funding opportunities, and business growth initiatives.
The community is the engine of the entire project. You can have all the bumper lanes in the world, but if you don't have a reason to throw the bowling ball, you're still not playing the game.
And what grounds this community, what makes it feel real and not just like another anonymous Discord server, is that it's formally backed by an entity called Owl Reflections Technologies.
Right.
We know from a source dated December 2025 that Owl Reflections is established as a forward-driven digital solutions provider. But it's not just some faceless corporate tech void floating in the cloud. They provide highly specific, real-world contact points right on the site.
Like an actual phone number, right?
Yes. There is a direct email camaraderie at owlreflections.net and, incredibly, an actual phone number with a +250 country code. That is a Rwandan phone number. +250-7925-48478. It roots this massive global digital community in a very specific physical reality.
That physical grounding cannot be overstated. In an era where most digital platforms and AI tools go out of their way to hide behind automated chatbots and no-reply email addresses, putting a direct international phone number on the dashboard is a massive statement of transparency.
It's honestly refreshing.
It signals that there are actual human beings with skin in the game operating this machinery. But if we look at the psychological side of this community aspect, the shift from solitary internet browsing to collaborative growth is profound.
How so?
When you are stuck in tutorial hell, you are fundamentally alone. You are completely isolated in your own echo chamber of endless bookmarks and algorithmic recommendations.
So what does this all mean for you, the user? Think deeply about the name of the platform itself, Camaraderie.
It's a very intentional name.
It is. The word literally implies mutual trust and friendship among people who spend a lot of time together facing a shared challenge. Is the ultimate long-term value of this platform actually the software tools like Little Shark or the downloadable ebooks?
Probably not just the tools, no.
Right. Or is the true value simply the psychological safety of being in a digital room with other people who are also exhausted by making their own excuses?
The tools are simply the mechanism. The true value is the momentum. The creator explicitly stated in their launch post, if you've been wanting to surround yourself with forward-moving minds, this might be the door you were meant to walk through.
Forward-moving minds. I like that.
Surrounding yourself with forward-moving minds fundamentally alters your baseline of what is normal. If you are sitting alone in your room, reading a tutorial feels like a massive victory.
Because it's all you know.
Exactly. But if you join a community where everyone around you is actively building, launching, failing, and iterating every single day, the social pressure dramatically shifts from passive consumption to active creation.
That makes total sense.
You stop feeling rewarded for just finding a good YouTube video, and you start feeling rewarded for actually producing a tangible result.
It's the stark difference between standing on the sidelines for years, memorizing the rule book, and actually stepping onto the field to play the game, knowing you have a team that has your back when you inevitably drop the ball.
And making that transition requires a fundamental shift in your core identity. You have to actively choose to stop viewing yourself as just a learner, someone who is always preparing, always getting ready to start, and start viewing yourself as a builder.
Builders build.
Builders don't wait for perfect information. They build with the information they have, and they learn the rest along the way.
Let's pull all of these complex threads together because we have gone on quite a fascinating journey today.
We definitely covered a lot of ground.
We started by exploring a highly specific modern frustration, the paralyzing grip of tutorial hell, and the endless scrolling that biologically tricks our brains into thinking we are making progress when we are actually standing still.
A huge trap.
We looked at how creator Mihigo Anaja meticulously diagnosed this problem across multiple articles, declaring that while our attention is cheap and easily manipulated, true direction is incredibly rare.
We then examined the ultimate power move of an antidote, proving the philosophy by executing an entire digital platform, Camaraderie, in a single day of focused building, bypassing the noise, ignoring the perfectionism, and just delivering a working, breathing ecosystem to the public.
And we opened the doors to that ecosystem to see how it works, finding a completely closed-loop Swiss Army knife of tools designed not for the narrow specialist, but for the modern polymath entrepreneur.
Which is where the future of work is heading.
Exactly. A place where high-end brand strategy sits seamlessly next to a smart coding assistant like Little Shark and flows directly into inventory management. All of it grounded by a global community and the highly tangible, transparent backing of Owl Reflections technologies. It is a digital space engineered from the ground up to reduce friction and aggressively increase action.
It serves as a fascinating real-time case study in both digital productivity and the architecture of community building.
In the launch article for the platform, the creator lays down a very direct, unavoidable challenge to the reader. They write, "The space is open. The vision is clear. The only real question now is, are you coming along?"
That is a powerful call to action, but it brings up an even deeper question to leave you with today. Mihigo proved that you can build an entire digital ecosystem in one single day if you simply cut out the noise and focus.
Right.
But applying that logic to your own life leaves you with a slightly terrifying realization. If you were to completely strip away your hundreds of saved bookmarks, your playlists of YouTube tutorials, and your endless months of research, what's the one thing you've been researching for months that you could actually just start building tomorrow? Who are you without your excuses?
It's time to step off that maze of treadmills. The tools are there, the ladder is right in front of you, waiting for you to build it, step by step. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep building, and we'll catch you next time.